So, in the explanation of the first part of the chapter, we came to know about Sadao, his father's concern, Sadao becoming a surgeon, going to America, and then meeting Hana and all that, and then the arrival of the prisoner of war and the beginning of the dilemma. So they finally brought that man to the house and he required cleaning. And so Sadao said that if she could fetch some hot water, he would clean him himself. But Hana said she could not bear to touch. She could not bear that he would touch that white man. So she said that she will call Yumi and she will tell Yumi and Sadao should tell the other servants. And then they left the place. But before leaving the place, that look on the face of that unconscious man made Sadao stop for a moment. He felt his pulse. It was faint, but it was there. He even checked his heartbeat. He, Sadao came to a conclusion that he will die unless he is operated. But then, whether he will die or not, that was, anyway, he will have to die. That he died, dying because of the wound, or if he recovers, he will be handed over to the authorities and he will certainly face death. But Hana was little concerned when Sadao said that about operation. She said that he should not try. He should not try to save him. But Sadao just said that he may die even during the operation. But Hana looked at him very doubtfully because she very well knew about the skills of her husband. Sadao looked at the man, that this man was very young, and that was the reason, because of that vitality, that energy, that vigor that was in him because of his youth had made him survive this long. And then they left, they came out of the room. But Sadao was concerned that something must be done, and that should be done urgently. Hana went to the room. She saw that Yumi was making preparation for the babies to sleep. She signaled Yumi, and after the babies had slept, uh, she came out with Hana, and then Hana told everything. While she was going to the kitchen, the two other servants, the gardener and the cook, she met them, and they looked very frightened. Frightened because Sadao had already disclosed the whole thing to them. The old gardener, who was also a house servant, he was very nervous. He said that master should not heal the wound of this white man. The white man ought to die. He gives his own logic that first he was shot and then the sea caught him and wounded him with her rocks. Now if Dr. Sadao heals him, both gun and sea would take revenge. Hana just said that she will pass on the concern to the master. She was not superstitious, but there was a question going on in her mind. Could it ever be well to help an enemy? Nevertheless, she told Yumi to fetch the hot water and bring it to the room where the white man. Now, when they went inside, when Yumi saw that it was a white man, she just denied to do anything. She said that she had never washed a white man and she will not wash so dirty as one. Hana told her that it is master's order. But then there was so fierce resistance on the face of the Yuni that for a moment Hana was afraid, because after all they were servant, and if they would go out and they would tell the story in a different manner, they would be more in the danger. And when she saw that Yumi was adamant, she just tried to reason it out with her that they are trying to bring him to the senses so that he could be handed over to the police. But Yumi refused, and so finally Hana asked her to leave. She was very angry. She just started washing the man herself. She was thinking that Yumi was stupid. What is there to be afraid of this wounded, helpless man? And she started cleaning the man. The man's skin, though rough with exposure, was of fine texture and must have been very blond when he was a child. Hana was thinking all this, but then it did not mean that she has developed any liking for that man. And she was doing it because her ego was hurt. She was in anger. But as the anger ebbed, as the anger calmed down, she was getting anxious and afraid. She felt that why Sadao has not come over yet. And then, as she was going to call Sadao, he came in. He, she saw that he had brought his surgeon's emergency bag and wore his surgeon's. So she immediately could understand that he had decided to operate. And then, once she saw that her husband's decision was to operate the man, she started following the instructions given by Sadao. She thought that if the operation would be done, the mat uh, would be uh, dirty with the blood. So she went outside to bring the old pieces of matting. But when she came back, she saw that it was useless. The blood had already soaked through the packing in the man's wound and had ruined the mat under him. She complained about it. And then Sadao asked him to turn him over. And he began to wash the man's back carefully. Here, Hana informed that Yumi did not wash him, and she had to wash him. But while she was saying all these things, she could understand that Sadao was no more listening to her. And she knew about his absorption when he was at work. There was a question in her mind whether it really mattered anything for Sadao who he was operating upon, and the work which he did, whether he was operating an enemy or a friend or a common man. And she very well knew that he was an excellent surgeon. Now Sada informed her that she will have to give anesthetics, but Hana said that she had never given. He removed the packing and the blood started flowing. He looked into the wound with the help of his surgeon's light, and he could see that the bullet is still there, but the question was how deep it was. If it was not too deep, then he could get the bullet out, but he was really concerned about the loss of blood. At this moment, Hana choked. Maybe she has never seen any operation, and we generally see a tendency in many people that if they see blood flowing, they get nauseated. They cannot bear it. Maybe same thing happened with Hana. Sadao saw that her face has turned pale. He just implored that she should not faint. At this moment, Hana just covered her mouth, went outside, and he could hear her retching. Retching is vomiting. He felt that it would be better for her. Maybe he had also forgotten the fact that Hana had never been witness to any operation. But the distress of his wife and his own inability that he was not able to go to help her, because he very well knew that if he left the work at this moment, the man would certainly die. His entire anger was now directed to the man who was lying unconscious in front of him, and his hands started moving recklessly. The man groaned in his unconscious state. And look what Sadao says. Groan if you like. I am not doing this for my own pleasure. In fact, I do not know why I am doing it. I don't know. Dilemma. Why he was trying to save that man. He had no answer to that question himself. The door opened again. Hana was inside. She asked for the anesthetic. And Sadao said that it was good that she had come back, that because the man had started coming back to the senses. Then he instructed how it has to be done. It was to saturate the cotton, hold near his nostrils, and when the breath becomes irregular, then she has to move it. Earlier, there were no injections of anesthesia, It was the oral anesthesia which was given, wherein the chloroform or the ether which was used. Now Hannah came very close to the young American, and she was looking and observing that man. She could understand from the looks of the man was suffering. He was unconscious, but he was suffering. And then she, watching him, she remembered the stories of torture to the prisoner of war which was given. But there was never any substantial proof to that. It was only from one mouth to another, and it was always contradicted. And now, as the Japanese armies have started becoming victorious, and no one was now ready to accept these facts, and everyone felt that whatever is done right. At this moment, she remembered General Takima, who was infamous for treating his wife cruelly. And she felt that if a man could be cruel to his wife, how cruel he could be to the prisoner of war. If a man like that could be so cruel to a woman in his power, would he not be cruel to one like this, for instance? Now there was a feeling in Hannah. She hoped anxiously that this young man had not been tortured. What is this? Even Hannah could not understand what was this. But it was a feeling of one human being towards another human being. At this moment, she observed deep red scars on his neck, just under the ear. She tried to bring it to the attention of Saddam, but Saddam at this moment was completely lost in his work. All his thought has left him. He felt only the purest pleasure. What is this purest pleasure? Something we are passionate about, and when we are doing it and completely lost while doing it, that feeling that comes through it. For a painter, it is the painting. For a musician, it is the music. For a singer, it is the singing. Similarly for Saddam, it was surgery, which was his passion, and which he did it wholeheartedly. And now at this moment, he was completely lost in that surgery, and he felt that purest pleasure. His fingers, experienced fingers, they were going through as if he knew every atom of that human body lying in front of him. And this was because his American professor of anatomy would always say, ignorance of the human body is the surgeon's cardinal sin, sirs. To operate without as complete knowledge of the body as if you had made it, anything less than that is murder. He said that ignorance in any way of a human body is a very big sin for the surgeon. A surgeon should have the knowledge of the human body as if he has made it himself. If the surgeon has anything less than that knowledge of the human body, he should not operate at all, because that will be not surgery, it will be a murder. Now there was another habit of Saddam while he was operating. There was always one-sided conversation, because the man whom he was operating anytime was always unconscious, but he always talked to him, and he addressed the man always, or addressed the patient always as my friend. And this time also he addresses the man lying in front of him as my friend. It was his habit to murmur to the patient when he forgot himself in an operation. My friend, he always called his patients, and so now he did, forgetting that this was his enemy. At this moment, Saddam was not a Japanese. The man lying in front of him was not an American. It was just a doctor and a patient. And then, with the cleanest, precise of incisions, the bullet was out. The man shivered for a moment. He uttered a few English words.